Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Open Book. I am Billy Price, co-founder of BILLY Footwear, and sharing the screen with me today, we have two amazing folks. We have Tim, we have Samantha. They are part of the board and part of the staff that runs RettSyndrome.org. Now, Tim, he comes from Florida. He's in Florida right now. Samantha is from Kansas, and I'm calling in from Seattle. So it's pretty awesome how technology is bringing us together. But you guys, thank you so much for your time. Welcome.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
Absolutely. Thank you.
So I think a great place for us to start, there's so many things we can talk about, and there's so many things I'm excited for us to talk about. But I think the great place to start would be simply describing what RettSyndrome.org does.
Sure. RettSyndrome.org is a foundation that was started many years ago by parents who have children affected by Rett syndrome. So it used to be a very small, still is a pretty small community. But back then this was in the 80s. There were no resources available for children who had Rett syndrome. So these parents came together and they started advocating to help each other take care of one another as families, but also starting to put money toward research. Like, how can they start to create solutions for their children? So they worked with different partnerships with clinicians and researchers around the world to start to put to build some solutions for us. And so here we are today, all these years later, as RettSyndrome.org, which is really the International Rett Syndrome Foundation. And we're serving families in two ways. We are committed to empowering families through connectivity and resources and education, which is a huge and vital part of it. But we put a lot of our energy behind research. And so the other arm of our mission is to accelerate research. And so far we've put over $50 million in research over the years. And we have multiple, because of that, we know now that Rett syndrome can be reversed. The symptoms can be reversed in a mouse model. We know the gene that is causing Rett syndrome, which is really instrumental in progressing research. And we have clinical trials actually happening for Rett syndrome. So we don't have a treatment yet, but we have things in the works, which is really exciting. So, as a foundation, we like to say that we've changed the landscape of Rett syndrome. It used to look very bleak and barren, and now it's very hopeful and encouraging for those families that have to walk with a diagnosis.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's awesome. I mean, I go to your website and actually, so how do we find you on your website?
You can just visit RettSyndrome.org. It's that simple.
Okay, good. So what I was gonna say is, going to your website and reading up on your story and just all the folks that make up that team of what is RettSyndrome.org. I was blown away by your fundraising. I mean, just to be able to raise over $50 million for this effort. I mean, I think that's truly incredible to be able to bring all those people together. And but I mean, Samantha, I'll kind of start with you on this one. But everyone that's associated with RettSyndrome.org has a story of how they got there, how they got involved. So, what drew you to RettSyndrome.org?
Yeah, so I always loved helping people and working with children. I never thought I would be doing it at this capacity, but when my daughter Macy was diagnosed, June of 2016, actually, she gave me a complete right turn in life. I resigned from a position that I had been in and began putting all my effort into raising her and learning about Rett syndrome. At that point, I found that our community here in Kansas hadn't been together for a couple years, and I could just not imagine that. I knew how alone I felt, and I just wanted to get our families together. We are so rare. Macy was the first diagnosed in my city that we live in and grew up in. And I wanted everybody to know about this and learn about this and learn about Mace and how special she is. So at that point, it just became my life's work. And little did I know, after my first family gathering, that was a fundraiser. We raised about $10,000 our first go round and had about 12 families come. And to me, that just lit it up for me. I couldn't stop there. I went on to take a position that I'm in now, the Family and Community Engagement Manager, and take these skills and these life experiences with Rett syndrome and give these families resources. I am normally one of the first people they talk to, and I give them hope, and I let them know that there is life. Your child is still the same child. They're not different. And they become my friends. And we are just this huge community that is so close that resources just come up every single day, just like yours. So that's how I got involved, and I'm blessed to be walking beside all these families. So,
oh, that's so awesome. So Tim, I mean, so talk to me about your story. How did RettSyndrome.org land on your radar?
Well, I mean, I'm also a dad of a daughter with Rett syndrome. My daughter Ella is 10 years old, and so it was almost 9 years ago that she was diagnosed. In fact, it'll be 9 years ago last month that she was diagnosed. And when we found out, it was a little different. I didn't bounce right into it like Sam did. Our doctor who diagnosed us told us that we would know more about Rett syndrome than any doctor we ever talked to, any person we ever knew. They basically gave us such a grim diagnosis and prospect for the future that we were really devastated. And it took a while to kind of bounce back. We had all these hopes and plans and dreams for our daughter that we kind of felt like we had to just give up. And so the idea of embracing Rett syndrome wasn't something that we wanted to do right away. It took a while to understand that you can have this diagnosis, but it not be your whole life. And that was really important for us. We didn't want to wear a badge that says I am Rett syndrome, because we wanted her to be more than Rett syndrome. We wanted her to be more than that. So it took a little while for us to do that. And it was a dark season. Things got challenging very quickly after her diagnosis. And so it wasn't until several years ago where I think our heads started to actually bob above water and we could stay. And it's like, actually, we're swimming now. We're actually okay. We're doing more than just treading water. We're actually headed somewhere. And when I got to that place, I think it was one of those things where realizing that I need to help other people get to that place so much sooner than I did. And so for me, it was about the same thing. I wanted to instill hope for people because I understood how hopeless it could be. And, I've said before that for me, I think if Sam had been there in her role as one of the first persons to reach out to us, I would have my family, we would have bounced up much sooner. But Sam wasn't there. We didn't have that. Well, we've both been relatively new to the team within the last 4 years. And, so it's great to see that now there's this lifeline, going out to families that is really helping them pull them up quickly, get them, and through our resources, getting them plugged in to where, we don't have a treatment, we don't have a cure yet, but we have resources to help you thrive along the way, and that you don't have to stay in that desperate place. So that, for me, was something that I was really passionate about helping people do.
Oh, wow. I mean, both you guys, there's so many things that you guys just said that I can resonate with. It resonates with me. I mean, first off, before I go there, I love that you say yet. It's always about we're in the process, we're moving forward. It's just yet. It's like we're gonna keep working at it. But man, when you're talking about, the emotion and talking about like feeling the dead end and just wanting to be able to talk to somebody and not necessarily having the information that you really want and just the answers and the why me's. I mean, such a dangerous question. I mean, I can like relate to my own story, like breaking my neck and just like knowing of, or like dreaming of a world that I thought would be. And then all of a sudden like getting just completely derailed from that vision. And then you're just kind of left in this shattered state. And it's like, how do you put the pieces together to move forward? Because the last thing in my position, the last thing I want to do is I did not want to accept that moment. I didn't want to accept spinal cord injury. I was gonna be that magic person that could snap your fingers and come walking out of the hospital. So it took a lot to digest that. It took a lot to, wrap my arms around what that could be like in terms of being successful or whatnot. So your organization and to be able to have those resources and have that kind voice, not necessarily to provide the answer, but to be able to be the ear to listen. Wow. Sam, where were you? I mean, I needed a Sam way back when.
We all needed Sam.
It took me a while too, not quite 9 years, but that first year was difficult. And I just couldn't not embrace the fact that here we are now and we have to move forward. And how are we going to do that positively? And Macy's been given opportunities that some other kiddos may not have been given. She's still going to go play on a softball team. We're just going to adapt it. She's got to brew some beer in a brewery called Macy Beer. And, there's just some really neat things that if you embrace and put a positive perspective on it, makes things a little easier. So,
yeah. Well, I love that. I mean, the size of your community, I mean, as we just illustrated, it's like we're at three corners. I mean, we have both corners of the United States and then also smack in the middle. That's pretty awesome. And I'm sure the audiences that, visit your site and engage with you through social. Actually, that's a good plug. Like, how do we find you on social media?
Yeah, on Facebook, you can just visit us at rettsyndrome.org or Rett Syndrome. And then on Instagram, it's Syndromeorg. So you can follow us along there. Yeah.
Perfect. And I would imagine there's people reaching out all through the United States and probably international as well.
Absolutely. So. Yeah, we definitely, that's why we are the International Rett Syndrome Foundation, is because we're the largest leader of advocacy and empowerment as well as research. So that's really a huge piece. We get people from all over the world reaching out to us for resources because we're blessed in the United States to have so many. We have 19 clinics across the US that have some kind of specialty focus on Rett syndrome, but that's very, very rare from around the world.
Mm. Well, just that community, be able to share resources. And I'm imagining that's kind of how we landed on your radar.
Absolutely. You want to talk about that, Sam?
Yeah, please. Yeah, kick it up.
Yeah, one of our families, Leslie Maida, actually, and her sweet daughter, Brooke, introduced us to you, Billy, and we're so grateful for that. I know I can speak for myself. We have all kinds of Billy shoes, colors, high tops, low tops, leather, cloth, and I was just so honored. I appreciate your story, and it's so similar to overcoming such an obstacle in life. And so that's how we were introduced, and we feel blessed to be partnering with you.
Well, it's such an honor. I mean, it truly is. I mean, for those that are listening in, we have a collaboration going on right now where essentially rettsyndrome.org has an affiliate link where if you order the shoes through that link, it comes with not only a discount, but also there's a revenue generator that goes back to the nonprofit. So it is such an honor for us to be able to help you guys out because one, it's a matter of like introducing the brand to your audience, of which your audience already kind of knows the brand, but to be able to assist in that way, but then also to be able to contribute in terms of financial, like a revenue stream. I mean, it really means a lot to us, and I'm glad that it means a lot to you too.
It does. And, I shared with you offline that we have, about 250 new parents that register with us every year. And so we're actually going to be introducing them immediately through a new parent packet that we provide. So they'll get introduced to Billy right away instead of having to wait years and trying out different samples and figuring out, different solutions, which is basically what every parent has done until they find Billy's shoes. Is they're like, why didn't I know about Billy sooner? And that's, even as we introduced this partnership, they were like, where were they for all these years, because it's just a simple solution. And when your kids are in AFOs or they can't tie their own shoes, and you just need simple solutions. And for us, it's like, that's a win. And I didn't even, when you buy Billy shoes, you don't think about the story behind the shoe. So now knowing you and knowing the story, I think that is even that much more compelling to our audience. And for those of us who are new to this story, the fact that you broke your back, right, in 20 years ago, or it took 20 years, but that was a 20-year journey for you to solve this problem. And I think that was so relevant for us and our community because we are working with our kiddos. It's a long-term process, and it's, to get them to achieve milestones, it takes a long time. And we've had even one parent that shared a video with us where it took 20 years for her daughter to get into a car by herself. And that our community celebrated that so much. So the fact that it took 20 years for you and now so many families are benefiting, that's just a huge, huge blessing.
Mm. Well, Tim, thank you so much for that. And I love how you framed that, just the keep moving forward aspect of it. I mean, yeah, I broke my neck in 1996, so it's been a while. And there were so many days where it felt like there was no progress made whatsoever. And if you actually look at it, maybe it was an inch, but it's amazing how over time you keep adding up those inches, and it ends up being a pretty substantial growth. even though when you're in the moment, it doesn't feel that way at all.
Absolutely.
Well, you guys, this has been absolutely spectacular. This has just been so awesome. But before we sign off, I wanted to give you the opportunity once more to kind of, share whatever's on your heart. So, Sam, I guess we'll start with you.
Yeah. Again, we just really want to thank Billy and Billy's Shoes for the opportunity to continue to serve our families. We are with our families every step of the way, and now literally we can be with them, and so can you, Billy, every step of the way. So thank you for being a part.
I love that. Tim.
Yeah, I would just echo that and say that, your story is inspiring to us because it infuses hope for so many. And that's what we're trying to do as an organization, is give people hope, helping them thrive today while we're working on a long-term solution, so kudos to you for what you're doing and how it's going to help our community.
Yeah. Well, thank you. And I love the word you used long-term, because you're looking for a long-term solution and we're looking for a long-term relationship. So
Absolutely.
It's going to be fun.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, everyone else that was listening in to Open Book, this was another episode, and we will have another episode next Wednesday. Until then, take care.